The Last Jedi is finally out for everyone to see, so let's discuss this film in its entirety. This is a spoilers review. If you have not seen the film, I please you to go watch it, enjoy it, then come back so we can discuss it in full. I have a spoilers-free review on my channel. For those of you who still haven't gotten the chance, you can enjoy that one freely before you watch. This one is for those lucky enough to have seen it. This is a spoiler warning. So now, let's discuss The Last Jedi. So Luke Skywalker dies. Oh my god, tears in the end. Luke Skywalker dies, and this is not the last time we've seen him. He will be Luke Force Ghost in episode 9. I am 1000% sure of that. But I love his pathos in this film. The way he talks about the Jedi Order and the rise of Darth Sidious. The way he refuses to train Rey because he's so afraid, so full of guilt, so full of sorrow. The idea and the perception that we had of Luke Skywalker, or how we thought we understood Luke Skywalker, is completely changed in this film, and I really love that. However, he does never stop to stay true to himself, who he was at the end of Return of the Jedi. I love just how he throws the lightsaber away as soon as Rey gives it to him. I love just how he stays in that island. I love how he says to her that, "You think I'm just going to walk out and face the entire First Order on my own?" Watching the film a second time, yeah, I thought that's what he was gonna do. And I love that his guilt prevents him from telling the truth to Rey about how he went about confronting Ben Solo, his apprentice, when he discovered how powerful the dark side was within him. And you have that moment when Luke Skywalker actually walks out and faces the entire First Order. Nearly pissed myself. I mean, Luke Skywalker surviving all those cannons, and I mean, I knew he was going to survive, and then he does survive. Just a visual, and I fell. I stopped feeling my legs, and then he fights Ben Solo in one of the amazing lightsaber sequences in this film, and it's just pure badassery. I also love Mark Hamill's performance. It's genuine, it's raw, it's emotionally heavy, it invests you in this character more than ever before. It's his best performance, and I think the best we've ever seen out of Luke Skywalker. And then the moment where he goes to burn the Force tree, but then Yoda's ghost appears, and Yoda's ghost is practical effects. Oh my God, as I said in my spoilers 3 review, it was like looking at the face of God. And I also love what Yoda says to him. What we plant here is what our apprentices will grow. That's the burden of all the masters. We don't know what they are going to do with those seeds. How they grow them is up to them, but it's up to us to plant them in there. And this is a lesson that Luke just learns in this film. And I love that I just noticed this in the second watch, as Luke is going into the Force tree to try and rescue the Jedi manuscripts, and he doesn't get in there. Rey at the end does have them. She stole them once she went away to try and save Ben Solo, which makes all sense for the arc of Luke, for the arc of Rey, even for the arc of Leia maybe. But still keeping on that Yoda cameo, just that visual of them from the back looking on the Force tree burning, realizing their mistakes, realizing what they have learned, realizing how distant they are in how they've learned things, yet how similar they are now, because Luke goes about not training Rey in a very different way that Yoda went about not training him, I think. But it was just so charming seeing Yoda being his happy, giddy self. I loved Yoda's cameo in this film, and it felt absolutely necessary for Luke. But Luke's death thematically ties in perfectly with this film. Let the past die. Let it go. No more Sith, no more Jedi, no more Resistance, no more First Order, or Empire, or Republic. It's all gone. Let's embrace this future, this bright future that J.J. Abrams started, but now Rian Johnson has expanded like we never thought possible. And Rey and Kylo Ren's arc represent that beautifully. I love their connection through the Force. We will go into the reasons beyond that in a little bit, but I love how this film goes about developing them in such different ways. As I said in my spoilers 3 review, the visual storytelling for them as they develop each other, as they drift away psychologically, but also connect in so many aspects in terms of personality. I love the moment where they go and actually touch each other's hands through the Force, which actually actually then connects to how Luke transports himself and how much that takes out of him because the planets are so far off from each other. I loved the new perceptions that we have on how the Force can be used, how one can use the Force to develop himself, to grow in their connection. The film discusses much more of the spiritual side and the philosophical debate that comes with using the Force. How do you use it, light side and dark side? And I love how dark Rian Johnson gets with this, investing in the drama and the conflict and the intrigue that comes with all of the swerves he presents to us in this film, pretending that Leia dies, giving conflict to Kylo Ren killing Snoke, Rey apparently going to turn to the dark side, Kylo Ren apparently going to turn to the light side, and then some of those happen, some of those don't happen, some of those happen not in the way you expect, some of those don't happen at all, and that's not what you expect at all. Luke's death, and then Luke not even being in Crate, and that all being a Force projection of his, showing his power. And Kylo Ren with this film, again, he couldn't be the furthest from trying even to be another Darth Vader. He's completely different. He goes about his development and his rise in the dark side in a completely different manner than Vader did. He does the exact opposite that Vader did. Well, he kills his master, you know, but he's still on the dark side. He's even more on the dark side now. And Rey is even more on the light side because she now understands the danger that Kylo Ren is. Just like Luke before understood he could not be saved, Rey now understands that. She has grown in the Force. She now understands Luke. She now understands Leia. She now understands Han. I love how determined and resourceful Rey is in this film. Luke is denying to train her. Fine, she'll train what she can alone because as far as physical abilities, she doesn't necessarily need Luke. She has learned to fend off for herself growing up in Jakku, which is pretty much nowhere. In the film, as far as psychology is concerned, as far as the mental strength is necessary to grow in the Force, I think Luke does a phenomenal job. At the same time, he's trying to teach her how to use the Force for her benefit, but at the same time, he's trying to show her, and he does show her, how dangerous it is, the mistakes you can make with it. And again, I love how different the film is about it when Rey leaves in the midst of her training, despite Luke telling her not to go, because she is not going to save her friends. She is going to save someone who is doomed. It was like Luke going to save Vader in the middle of Empire. He still did not understand that, but he didn't even realize that. He didn't know Vader was his father. Rey knows who Kylo Ren is, or who he was, and she thinks she understands him. And I love the little hints that we get that she saw the future. We never really get to see what she really saw. We never really get to see what her vision was this time, and I think that was very purposeful in this film. But again, I love that at the end we realize that she took the Jedi manuscripts. What she's going to do with it. Is Rose or Finn going to tell them about that kid that comes up in the end, which we'll talk about in a little bit? Or do they even know that that kid is Force sensitive? But my god, speaking of swerves, I love how we know that Kylo Ren is going to betray Snoke, but he actually does kill him, but then he does not turn good, nor does Rey turn evil. I love how this movie keeps swerving us, and we can guess the little pinpoints that this movie is going to turn just in the nick of time, but then the movie has a surprise swerve that we were never expecting. Kylo Ren is not good whatsoever. He in this film has resolve. He is determined to be the supreme leader, to be on the dark side. He is Kylo Ren. He has been Solo no more if there ever was any doubt at the beginning of this film. But I love how the film keeps hinting it at us that he's clinging on to that side. He still has something with him that is conflicting. And so he's on his fighter and he's going to shoot at the ship Leia's at, and he senses her and he stops. But then he does not seem regretful at all that the others killed her. And let's talk about this moment right away. Leia seemingly dead. I believed she was dead. I'm going to be honest, the first time I watched this film, I believed she was dead, but then the shot lingers on her and changes to her hand, and I was like, oh boy. And she uses the Force to go back into the ship. What a beautiful moment. Rian Johnson captured this cinematically beautifully, but also it's great to see this happening, and with Leia, because canon-wise, only one person has ever been able to do something like this, and that is Darth Vader at the height of his powers in the beginning of Lords of the Sith. Read that novel if you haven't, please. It has nothing to do with The Last Jedi, but read it. Poe is also excellent. His surprising character arc in this film is very deep from the moment he starts the film, very arousingly so, very hot-headed, very much like Han Solo, but yet yet he can command a fleet, yet at the end he goes about it in a very different way, as the First Order is trying to shoot at that giant door, and he goes about it like, Finn, no, let's retreat, that's an order. I love how the dialogue mirrors each other in this film. It was very, very well utilized. And Rose and Finn, again, I do have some flaws with their storyline. They are very interesting characters. They have a very interesting chemistry. I just don't think that single storyline was executed in the best way. They could have just used the kids being slaves in that world, or just in the casino, and they could have done without the horses even. I understand the purpose of the horses by the end, but the kids are what really matter, as we learned by the end, and so their storyline could have been resolved a little faster, and we could have just used the kids. It would have been just as heavy, emotionally speaking, or even more maybe. But let's go back to that moment where Kylo Ren kills Supreme Leader Snoke, and he and Rey just clean house on the Praetorian Guard in what is a beautiful, magnificent, pitch-perfect lightsaber duel sequence. I love how this captures samurai movies of old, like Kurosawa's classics and even some Takashi Miike movies. This lightsaber sequence is so amazing. You can see all the moves, you can see master wide shots on all the characters, you can see their moves, and it's actually pretty violent for a Star Wars film. Even the death of Snoke is. And the way you see them penetrating the Praetorian Guard with their sabers, even at the end as Rey throws a lightsaber to Kylo and he just clicks it on and it goes through their head. I mean, pretty violent. I understand how they were able to do that because we never see the Praetorian Guard without their armor. We don't even know what they're like, if they're human, if they're not, but it's pretty damn violent. Okay, so let's speak again about the thematic, and that is let the past die, let it go. And Kylo Ren kills Supreme Leader Snoke, who suggests that he inserted the conflict in Kylo Ren's mind, that he connected them through the Force, him and Rey, and that he was the one that even showed those visions to them. He is the one that tells Kylo Ren to kill him. That's what he implies, because the dialogue in this scene, once again, is very important. I don't think he randomly mentions that Kylo Ren, the heir apparent to Lord Vader, Kylo Ren, you will strike down your true enemy. Rey, I am going to kill Skywalker, and I am going to strike you down with the most cruel of strokes. That's his dialogue. I'm not sure if I said the exact words, but that's what he says. And Kylo Ren kills him. Now, I refuse to believe that you imply what you imply in The Force Awakens, that you give Snoke this stupidly amazing power. I mean, the dude is OP, and then you just kill him and we're done with him. Especially when Hux comes into that room after everything is destroyed, after Holdo penetrated the entire fleet, and Kylo Ren wakes up. You don't just start that after everything is resolved. You don't just start that sequence with a close-up on Snoke dead. You don't do that after everything is seemingly resolved, after seemingly being clear that Snoke is dead, and that Kylo Ren is going to now assume his place. I refuse to believe that. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, I will admit right now, I'm the stupidest person in the internet. Whether I'm right or wrong about Snoke being dead and us never seeing him again, I don't think he's Ezra anymore. The stupidest person on the internet right here for the past 2 years. I'll just admit that, right from the get-go. But I do not believe for a second that we got all our answers with Snoke, and I do not believe for a second that we got all our answers with Rey's parents. They sold her for drinking money. They were just scrap heaps. And I do not believe anymore either that she is Luke's daughter. 20 minutes into this film, I was like, okay, she's not going to be Luke's daughter. But again, thematically, letting go of the past, that's to us as well. Let us go of the past. Let's not connect all these new characters to the past. And I thought that worked brilliantly for the film and for Rey as well. Again, I don't think we've gotten our clear answers. I cannot believe Kylo Ren as a character. I cannot believe he is telling the truth. That was him suggesting to Rey so that she would join him on the dark side, so that she would believe and trust him. I don't feel that. I don't feel that whatsoever. So the answers we got here in this film for these particular subjects, for Rey's parents, for Snoke, for Luke, for how he understood Luke, I think we have gotten our answers to questions that we had before. I don't think these are our definitive answers. Otherwise, what the hell is episode 9 about? Now again, I refuse to believe that JJ implied certain things, and now that Rian Johnson completely destroyed them, and I don't know how JJ will use that. Will he destroy those elements as well? I don't know. Again, I can be completely wrong in 2 years' time, but as of this moment, that is just my gut feeling. And honestly, I cannot control my feelings, and I cannot go against my feelings as far as the answers we have right now. Because just like the original trilogy, very well so, this new trilogy, it all ties together. We will have our definite answers at the end of episode 9 for episode 7, for episode 8, and for episode 9. Now let's talk about that ending, because that random kid is connected to the Force. That is the new generation that Luke is refusing to train. He is not the Last Jedi. Rey now is. Kylo Ren, he's gone. He's not a Jedi. He never was. He's not a Sith. He's the Supreme Leader. He's the Dark Lord that we have right now, and I still relate a lot to him. But my god, with that moment where Luke comes in and we have that scene between him and Leia, and they talk about him not being able to save Ben, and Leia just says, I know my son is gone, but Luke says, no one's ever truly gone, and then we have that beautiful shot of the sun coming in to Carrie Fisher's face. Oh my god, that was a kick in the face, in the stomach, in the balls, to the shin, to everything. I felt my body lose all its strength and control. My god, what a heavy moment. And that emotional heaviness is felt throughout the film from the very beginning. The Resistance is on the run. They have no strength to fight back against the First Order. They're trapped. They just need to escape, and for the entire bulk of the film, we never see them being able to escape. They're always up against a wall and the First Order. And I love how Rian Johnson plays with this tension and drama on different levels. The inner conflict of Rey and Kylo Ren. The outer conflict of Kylo Ren and Snoke and Rey and Luke, and then Poe and Leia, and we see that little gray area that was explored in Rogue One with Poe and him growing again as a character. Rian Johnson seemingly ties the script together with all the thematics and all the heavy drama and all the emotionality, tying in together, mirroring each other, contrasting each other, and it's done all beautifully so. His direction is beautiful in this film, from the fight sequences to the most heavy drama sequences. I loved everything he did in this film. Yes, Finn and Rose's storyline is the weakest part, but it's not necessarily bad, and it's actually needed. I just think it could have been done a little more quickly so. Rian Johnson has delivered onto us the most complex, challenging, and riveting Star Wars film in years. I would never dream I would say this. It challenges our perceptions on the Star Wars universe, on the characters that we know and love. It gives us a bright new future ahead that we have no idea how it can or will go. It shifts questions from the past into new ones for the future, exploring the entire lore, expanding it more and more. Maybe so he can do his own new trilogy. Maybe that kid will tie into his new trilogy. That's who we will follow in there. These are all my spoilery ramble thoughts on The Last Jedi, and I am sure I forgot a whole load of things, but now it's up to you guys to let me know what I forgot to talk about, what you want to talk about, anything you agree with, anything you disagree with. Let's all respect each other. Let's all love discussing films with each other, because whether you disagree or agree with me, we all love Star Wars. That's really what it comes from, and I can't wait to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching once more. Now the journey begins into 2 years of waiting for episode 9, whatever it's called, whatever our characters will go. I cannot wait to be there yet again. And so until I watch The Last Jedi again and cry once more with everything that happens in this film, I can't wait to talk to you about this. You stay beautiful, you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell so we can be geeky united!